Hello everybody and welcome to Black and White Tales pre number 30. From the Merriam-Webster dictionary, culture is the act of developing intellectual and moral faculties, especially by education. And this is the fifth definition of culture by the Merriam-Webster. The first one is the customary beliefs, social forms, and material traits of a racial, religious, or social group. This is something that came to my mind this week, and this is why I decided to show you this print. And this image was taken in 2012, I suppose. No, much earlier, probably 2008, in Boston. And this is the public library in Boston. It's really a fantastic place. The mood there is great. The building is beautiful, a beautiful architecture, and the atmosphere is so good. It's this silence and this big room to study. It just, you get in there and you think, yeah, I want to just get a book, sit there and start to study. And I decided this because culture is become the meaning of culture. It was kind of changed in the years. We started with the definition that I gave you at the beginning, that is the about the developing intellectual and moral faculties, and that was the first definition a long time ago. Now it became the fifth definition, and is defined as culture any kind of common trait or common attitude of a group of people. And this is kind of wrong, because I was looking at the news and I was looking at an interview of people that went rioting and went looting Walmart during the riots. I think it was in Portland, and they defined the experience as a cultural experience, changing the main meaning of the term culture from something that is a knowledge that you have to acquire studying and gives you moral values, to something that is just a common attitude, a common trait of a group. It changed the idea, it justified almost anything and any attitude. We are talking about the culture of the gangs, we are talking about the culture of rioters or things like that. We are talking about the culture of terrorists, and that is kind of pointing in the wrong direction, because actually gang members is ignorance. Terrorism is totally ignorance. There's nothing to do with the culture in the sense of knowledge and moral values of the first meaning that I mentioned. So when the language was distorted in a way to attribute as, to define as culture any common attitude, we lost a lot of meaning of that. If we want to think about this library, public library, is in Boston, and the culture of the American Revolution is all in here. And if you read the written text by the founding fathers, and you see that the real culture was there, because there was the knowledge of philosophical and political experience applied before in other places around the world, and there was a deep knowledge of that. Philosophies, political philosophies were studied and were mentioned and were discussed, and something new came from that. Something new came from really a lot of studying of different of the past experiences. The culture of rioters stealing television from Walmart, that kind of sad is not culture. In my opinion, this is just pure ignorance put at service of some political idea, if we want to call it that way. So that's the difference. And we define everything as culture. I was watching on television something about a party that was, I don't know if connected with a gay pride or something like that, but there was this party with naked people doing, I mean, sexual things around in the streets, and that was defined culture. And I was thinking, okay, that can be a lot of fun and do it. I don't care. I mean, it's your choice, but don't define that as a cultural experience or something like that. That's just fun. So with this change in the meaning, we justified ignorance, defining it culture just because it's something that is shared as an attitude by a group. And this is totally wrong, and this is why we have even leaders right now, elected people that are totally ignorant. I mean, they really cannot do rational thinking at all. They are just talking about things that are, you know, pure propaganda and things like that, but they are justified, and they were elected because when you define culture, something that is just because it's common to some social group, then you can have people like that get places of power. So when you hear the word culture used, think about it and think if that is culture of is just a common habit, and we cannot call it culture something just because it's a common habit. We can call it tradition, we can call it in a lot of different ways, but in my opinion it's not culture. But the definition, the proper definition and the original definition of culture, it went down from the first place in the vocabulary to the fifth one. So right now, if you look around, this kind of culture, that by the way is accessible to everybody, because you can go in this library every day of the year for free without problems, and you can go inside in summer and it's air conditioned and cool. If you go in winter, it's very warm and costs you nothing, and you can get the books from the shelves, and you can start to really get a culture in the original meaning of knowledge, and a knowledge that allow you to create some moral compass for your life. But right now, when you hear the word culture, is this or is just a group, a bunch of people doing ignorantly the same thing altogether, without even wondering what they are doing, without knowing if what they are doing is right or wrong? Is defined as culture something that do not brings to moral values, that cancel totally the moral values? The act of the masses are defined culture just because are made by a group of people and are shared by a group of people. So this was all about this image. Thank you very much for watching. As usual, if you want to check out this image in its original form, go to my website. There's the link on the description. Click on it and check the image on my website. That you see it much better. As usual, please put a like if you like the video, subscribe to the channel, share with your friends, and if you have comments, just write them down and I will be glad to answer and talk with you about this video or the other video and the ideas I express in these videos. So thank you very much for watching. Keep creative, stay free, have a lot of fun, and don't call it culture, just call it fun and enjoy it. Bye, see you next time.